Hello everybody and welcome to the LP podcast. My guest for today's episode is Lalit Dhamija, who is Executive Chairman of a Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply in the UAE branches. Lalit has 40 years experience in procurement of services and goods in various industries, such as oil and gas, petrochemical, energy and airways, banking and medical. Over the last 28 years working in ADNOC Group, Lalit has run Group Procurement Initiative for Procurement Transformation, and he is also Procurement Excellence Leader. Currently, Lalit is Global Procurement Trainer and Solution Provider and member of Industry Academic Council of Procurement and Supply Chain in the Higher College of Technology in the UAE. Lalit also participates in the conferences and the seminars as a chair, panel moderator, panelist and a speaker. And today we are going to discuss the procurement and supply chain, the impact of COVID and its future. Hello, Lalit, and thank you for taking part in the podcast. Really appreciate your presence here. Let's discuss today about supply chain. As we know, China actually was the epicenter of the COVID-19, and China is the main suppliers of the goods all over the world. So China was the first one to actually shut down their factories, and also due to COVID, there was a lots of transportation restrictions to supply actually goods to their endpoint. So how actually COVID-19 affected overall supply chain? What is your point of view about this?
Now, there's no secret. Everybody knows globally because of China. It originated from China, but then it spread worldwide. So hardly any country is unaffected by this COVID-19. Because of the COVID-19, there were lockdowns. In most of the countries, there were restrictions on the ports and on the airports, on the rails, on the land transportation, and also movement of the labor, of the equipment and cargoes. So the answer to this is yes, it has really affected the global supply chains. The lead times have increased, there have been shortages, sometimes there's disruption or the supplies altogether, and most of the people saw disruption in their supply chains.
So if it was like this change actually was so fast that many organizations couldn't really adapt to this. And how actually organizations could immediately respond to this change? And what should be done actually maybe in advance to prepare for the supply disruption? I understand that nobody actually could expect this, but we still should maybe maintain some certain supply chain agility in our organizations. So what do you think?
True. In big organizations, we had risk management. From so many years, we were doing enterprise risk management. We were doing business continuity, and still we were taken by surprise. So we need to see there are gaps. We talk many things which are theoretical, practically in these situations like this. We should be prepared for this. We should do simulations. We should do scenario plannings, and we should do exercises having some hypothetical cases like it is done in military. Why they are prepared for unforeseen, why we were not prepared. We are trying to do, this is more of a theoretical exercises which we do. Practically, let us implement, let us do some pilot, and let us pressure test our systems, our management, our procurement professionals. So one is this particular type of solutions. And okay, we were taken off guard. We have to see what are the best practices. Where are the gaps for best practices? if we followed best practices, will it help? Would it have helped us? Like always, we say we should have multiple or supply security, different type of sourcing. Now, here, when we were banking upon China, everybody wanted to have the benefit of low cost countries. That is what we were concentrating on because we can't blame. We have to be cost competitive at times. We can't blame. We have to be cost competitive. That's why we were following that. Now, of course, there are lessons learned because of this, and we are talking about dual sourcing, multiple sourcing. So, and there are many other aspects which we have to see about people training, about the processes, about the use of technology. Okay, I hope I like answered your question.
So I just yeah, you actually answered the questions, but what I would like to just maybe reconfirm. So you think that even during like normal time, organizations always needs to have a plan B, plan C for supply?
Uh, Normal, now this is the point. We were so used to routine things, the type of procurement professionals we had, they were not pressure tested. We are doing routine works which are going on. We are not doing anything creative, innovative, or like I said, we had risk management, business continuity. That was okay, paper pushing and filling the forms, and it was restricted to that. Actual implementation was limited. Now, of course, it is a lesson learned, and of course, now the things will be different. We'll have a different perspective of type of supply chain professional we should have, who have to be more resilient, more forward looking, have some type of leadership to combat any type of situations like this, to have solutions to situations like this.
Okay. So in this case, we already started thinking about the future and which lessons can we take actually out of this COVID. So what do you think?
Yeah.
How actually COVID will affect the supply chain and overall, and what is the let's say post-COVID future of supply chain?
Post-COVID future is definitely about the sourcing. So instead of depending on low-cost countries or a particular source, we will have dual sourcing or multiple sourcing. Even if it involves more shelling out more money, and also the lesson learned is we should always depend on local sources. So local content will increase, local industries have to be tapped, they have to be grown, and they have to be depended upon. And to be sure and to maintain our supply chains without disruption. So this is one of the things about the suppliers, about the sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is the type of people, the training, procurement, and the like upskilling of the procurement professionals. And other is the use of technology. How are we using technology to be more agile, to be more resilient, right? How to use the sub data analytics properly, how to predict demand, how to have alternative sourcing. Now, the point where the industry is facing is security of supply, and for that, they need alternative sourcing and also to manage a relationship with existing suppliers. So these type of skills will be required: relationship management, supplier relationship management, talking to stakeholders, right? Finding quick solutions, be more agile. This is the need of the hour to maintain your operations. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with you regarding this. But what actually in the future of supply chain, what are the main challenges and opportunities to implement these technologies and to upskill, for example, the procurement professionals?
Now, challenges for technology are, we have been talking about digitization of procurement for quite some time in seminars, in conferences, in podcasts. So we have been talking about it, and companies or organizations who adopted it, it like stood test of the time, and they benefited during COVID-19 because they were geared up with the digitization. All their contracts were online. Their procure to pay system was online. They could like sail smoothly in this particular scenario. Others were partly like digitized. They also could do part online and part they had to go to the office. And the third category of the organizations who were not prepared, they really bore the brunt. So to be prepared post COVID, we should have digital solutions, and we should see it is not only our organizations, our stakeholders, internal and external, they should also be connected. We should have robust supply chains which are digitally interconnected with each other. Then it is going to work, right? Complete, we are depending, supply chain is not only for one organizations are interconnected. In that case, we should have digitally interconnected supply chains, and the future for supply chains is blockchain. How we are interconnected for blockchain, how we have got transparency, consistency, there are workflows, and we can depend and on those particular ones. We could be consistent, we could be agile, and it could be trouble-free operation without any risk of any particular fraud if you are adopting blockchains and artificial intelligence. This is the future of supply chain post-COVID as far as the technology is concerned. As far as the skills upgrading is concerned, people, like I said, everything will move to digital and end users will be empowered. If end users are empowered, what is the role of supply chain professionals? They have to be relationship managers. They have to do risk management. They have to be strategic partners for the company to ensure that we are getting value for money. We are creating value for money. We are relevant. Anything relating to commercial, people should come to us. People should come to supply chain professionals for anything related to procurement and supply, because we create value. We know to how to source, how to negotiate, how to do risk management, and how to ensure continuity of supply chains. Okay.
Okay, so you think that in the, let's say, new procurement model, which like future procurement model, that digital technology will play the biggest role there?
Yeah, it will play biggest role, and not only that, we need to have stakeholders management.
Okay, so in this case, if we look ahead, how actually procurement model of the future will look like, and from your point of view, and what actually the main shifts which will be like taking place compared to the current procurement model, or maybe even pre-COVID procurement model?
We will be more resilient, we'll be more proactive, we'll be more fast acting by use of technology and by use of competent people who can lead the procurement department and add value for the company. So it will be people, it will be processes, and it will be technology. Now processes have to be nimble. We'll have to see which activities are really required. We have to be fast acting. We have to take out the waste and things which are really required. We will need to have emergency response teams. If this situation arises again, we will need to have processes, procedure in place. How can we be fast acting? Now, many things are being done to secure supplies, and some things are being done which are beyond laid out procedure and processes. We'll have to make documentation for that. We'll have to make like a provision for that. In case of such situations, what are the mandates we get from the senior management, so that later We are not found erring on compliance, and the audit don't audit personnel don't catch us. So proper documentation, proper procedures and processes will be there to take care of situations like this. And like I said, to have alternate suppliers, to deal quite quickly with the stakeholders, and to have consistency through like say blockchains and use of technology.
Mhm. So, but what do you think about will be these models like intelligent procurement, supply chain data management with intelligent automation and analytics, or maybe supply chain simulations will be implemented in their supply chain model of the future?
Now here is where the difference is. When I'm saying when I'm repeating myself and saying the skills of procurement professionals, so we have got all this ERP system in many organizations. We have got data, we have got tools and techniques, but honestly, how many of us are really using it productively? Leave apart that, you just say ordinary calculator which came in like 80s, till now people don't know how to use this ordinary calculator more than 10%. I'm not talking about scientific calculator. We have got MS Word. Most of us only know 2% of MS Word. We have got such robust systems, good ERP system, e-procurement solutions. So we'll have to know how to use them effectively, productively, and these are the type of skills we will require. These are the type of skills we'll require. We'll have emergency response teams. We'll have internet savvy. We'll have technological savvy people who know about Internet of Things, who know about data analytics, who know about artificial intelligence, who know robot process automation.
Mhm.
In EDNOC, we have got this artificial intelligence center, and which really helped us help the EDNOC group effectively during this particular crisis. They were already geared up from 2 3 years. They had Panorama, this system, what you're talking about for the future.
Yeah.
It really helped them. They had you already worked in EDNOC, so they had the blockchain in many aspects. They had artificial intelligence, which really helped the company during COVID-19. So again, repeating myself, effective use of technology, which really matters on the bottom line of the company for sourcing products and services, and we align with the objectives of the company. Another aspect is your business strategic planning, how the procurement is aligning with the needs of the organization. And of course, we always have been talking about performance management, supply relationship management. These are put on papers, being honest, how many organizations are doing effective supply relationship management. If the gaps are shown now in this particular crisis. If we are a perfect procurement professional, we should know how to carry the suppliers with us in this situation. The critical suppliers, how to support the critical suppliers instead of imposing penalties and trying to safeguard our interests. We have to see long-term commercial relationships. How can we harmonize them? How can we retain them? So these particular skills will be required, like relationship management, supplier relationship management, and performance management. Performance management is not only for the suppliers. We have KPIs, we have got SLAs, we have got risk management, ongoing risk management. We need to have, like what they say, periodic meetings. Depending on the complexity of the contract, periodic meeting could be monthly, could be quarterly. We should have KPIs, SLAs for SLAs of for both company as well as for the supplier. Performance management is for both, for supplier as well as for the client. Are we paying their bills in time? Are the suppliers adhering to the milestones of the KPIs? So we all know about it, but the point is, in the post-COVID situation, these will be really implemented. These will be implemented, and because we have to be conscious about the delivery time, about the cost, about the completion of projects or delivery of our items within the stipulated time and the cost. All right. Because currently we are seeing we are paying more in certain situations to get our CS sourcing. We are paying more in for the items when we are going to alternative suppliers. Okay.
Yeah, indeed. So, but since you mentioned already the strategy that procurement needs to link to the strategy, I've read some survey actually done by McKinsey and then was followed by Deloitte. So McKinsey done the survey that there was like 650 participants, executives and CPOs, and 20% of them actually they have digital strategy for their organization. Only 2% actually of the respondees link their supply chain with their strategy. And the following survey done by Deloitte actually was like, I think, like end of last year, 2019. It says that majority of this remaining 2% were not actually satisfied with digital transformation of procurement. So what do you think actually there could be the reason for this?
I have seen the survey, and there's an annual survey issued by Deloitte for chief procurement officers, and I am a regular subscriber of that. And this has been going on from some years about digitization. They are not satisfied for the digital procurement. I am aware of that. First is the selection. How do you select which particular model, which particular ERP system you are going to purchase, or which particular e-procurement tools you need? Organizations are not sure how to make the scope of work for them, like cloud computing. People have heard about cloud computing. If you are going to make a tender for that, you are entirely dependent on the supplier. There is no one who is conversant with making the scope of work. And when they make scope of work, companies are not able to quote because it is not clear. So these type of issues we are facing, we have to talk to IT, we have to talk to procurement professionals, or maybe other organizations who have implemented this, or of course with the vendors itself, we have to develop scope of work. So these type of challenges are there when we talk about digital. And digital thing takes time. It is investment. People wait for a good package to come or good resources to come, and they wait for some time, and sometime they become laggards because of late adoption of technology. So you have to start somewhere, and then you have to see what are the requirements of the company, and along with your stakeholders, along with the IT, along with the procurement team, you have to make a business case. And then, of course, you need budget, you need senior management approvals. And last but not the least, which is most important, is training of your staff, and also some of the suppliers or internal stakeholders to adopt these particular things. So this all process does take time. It does take time. It is long. It is a long-term thing. It requires resources. It requires leadership, and it requires a lot of cross-department coordination, cross-functional coordination within the company. That is the reason why our CPOs were not happy with the digitization. So you require really leadership. You will pursue this, and the leadership should come from procurement. That we really need it, what is required, and then if they are able to put their convincing business case to the company, for that they need to upskill. Like I will talk about upskilling. Upskilling is knowing these type of skills about IT, about e-procurement. Then only you can make a compelling business case for the company, and then only we can have this digital gap which can be closed down. Okay.
So, from your point of view, procurement professionals need to be trained not only like upskilling like their general procurement skill, but they also need to be trained to know more their latest digital technology actually.
Now the skills for the procurement professionals are changing. If you see the curriculum, we have got a global standard of procurement and supply for CIPS
Yeah.
and mastery model for Institute of Supply Management in USA. If you see the curriculum over the years, they revise it annually, it has been changing drastically. The more skills required, we did not have stakeholders management before. We did not have supplier relationship management or digital procurement or e-procurement. Now this has a major inputs into the curriculum. So the skills required are changing over time, and these are of course appreciated by the companies more and more, and people are getting more internet savvy. They are trying to know about the fourth industrial revolution, talking about internet of things, internet of services, and they're trying to learn and trying to adopt. So surely, like you said, definitely procurement professionals skills which are required in the current times are much different than and they are changing over time than they were a few years back. Of course, they also need to know more about market intelligence. What is going on in the market, how situation is changing from the microeconomics viewpoint and from the macroeconomics viewpoint. All right, be it for their product, for the services, or the sourcing. So there are multiple aspects which procurement professional needs to know about the product, about the services, about the suppliers, about technology. So I had written an article which was around 4 or 5 years back in supply management, and they drew, like they said, supply chain professionals are supermen and superwomen, and they make that cartoons and everything, the supply management. So really we recognize the skills are changing over time for the procurement profession.
So you think the procurement function, I mean, basically taking into consideration what you have just mentioned, so you think that procurement function historically is moving from more supporting function to more strategic. This is right?
Yeah, it is moving from like we were in the background, a support function, but now we are leading from the front. Procurement is at the center of the organizations. We have got roots within the full company. We are talking to complete stakeholders within the company, and we are leading it. If you talk about category management is led by procurement functions. You get the support of engineering, technical departments, end users, finance, legal, HSE, quality. Who leads? Procurement is leading. So we are leading that show. So we are not some a support function, but we are leading it from the front, and organizations have seen the benefits, especially in the times of crisis when the oil price is low. Now we are seeing within the GCC where we are dependent mostly on the oil price, on the oil. So the first thing which ADNOC did in 2015 when the price came down, the first department or the first discipline they targeted was procurement. Before, nobody knew what is procurement. Now everybody in the company knows what is procurement, what are the functions, and they opened with the Group Procurement Initiative, GPI, and they consolidated and revolutionized procurement over the 18 companies of the ADNOC group, and use of technology and use of cloud computing and standardized terms and conditions for categories like 18, 19 terms and sets of terms and conditions, and common procurement procedures across the company. And of course, individual companies have some own procurement standards they are allowed for their particular specific functions. But what I mean to say is the procurement professionals were really given importance, and procurement discipline was chosen to create value for the company. So that is the answer to your question. When you talked about procurement, we are not a service function. We are leading from the front. Now there are KPIs which everybody in the company knows. There are set of 10 KPIs reported monthly, and companies compete with each other. You've got your KPIs, your standards, your targets, and also other companies compete with each other. So procurement is on the forefront of the for the company, and this is true for other organizations. CIPS, Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, has been teaching us from over a decade, and we thought it is like theoretical, but now we have seen across the globe how procurement function has taken leadership in this.
I know that you spent around 40 years working in the corporate life, and and now you're in a training, coaching, and mentoring world. So, how was your transition for this, and why you took this decision to move to the training, mentoring, coaching world?
Point is, I would have continued in ADNOC, but then we have got the retirement age, and I retired, got extensions, and after that, you have to move on. And I enjoyed every moment of my corporate life. I learned quite a lot. And it is like an institute. Before I was in Engineers India Limited for 10 years and for 30 years in ADNOC, and quite interesting. Lot of learning, and especially procurement and supply chain. You've got so much potential in this. So I had a passion for this, and also I had passion for learning and development. And then it was a natural extension when I retired to move into procurement and supply and training and coaching. So it was quite interesting and a natural progression for training and development, and I enjoy. Before I had one office, now like I traveled to around 32 countries in 2 years pre-COVID. Now I don't think I can I can do that, and we have moved to mostly online training now. So I miss that particular face-to-face interaction. And worldwide, go to any office, it is your office, because we can relate to procurement and supply professionals. We speak the same language. So this is the like my passion. I'm pursuing my passion. I'm living my passion day by day.
So, interesting change from one office in one country to many offices worldwide. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Actually, what do you think? From your point of view, actually, organizations can do to uplift the skills of their procurement and supply chain staff?
Now we used to go for supply training courses. Now 1 or 2 persons will go, or 5 persons will go out of 300, 400 people. They will come back, and there is no impact or change in any particular processes or the way we are working. But now, as many companies are doing, they are training people like complete supply procurement and supply chain, depending on the hierarchy. They will get the same type of training. They will speak the common language. First of all, the skills are identified. Which particular skills are required if we align with the objectives of the company? Like now we are talking about digitization. We are talking about e-procurement. So we identify, we need to train people in e-procurement and digitization. So the people have to be trained in that particular thing, particular aspect, so that they learn together and they speak the same language, and then we implement those things within the company. Then we get the benefits. The benefits are actually translated, the benefits of training, because training is costly. Learning and development is costly. So nowadays in the companies, we've got learning and development departments, which really see the gaps, and they see which particular type of trainings are really required for making maximum impact. So my message is, companies should be clear which areas they want to train their people in, and then they should do it for teams with the clear KPIs. We will train these people, they will come back, they will implement it, and this is the ROI we are looking for. Right? So this is, in my opinion, how the trainings could be effective.
So, okay, for example, if organizations do their training and development for their procurement professionals, actually, how we as a procurement professionals can take the most out of these trainings?
I know many time, okay, I used to take interest in training, and okay, like others from, we got many opportunities throughout the year to train. People will go to training with a different objective. I really went to the training with an opportunity. I want to make a difference. I will go there. I will take notes. I'll underline. I'll try to implement. And after coming back, I'm disillusioned. After a month, 2 months, I will forget what we have learned. And really, I used to feel very bad about it. Like, we are putting in so much effort. I'm conscious. Still, I'm not able to make a difference. But the point is, if you come back with and give that presentation to your department, to your company, don't leave it there, take it for further, go in seminars, go in conferences, read more about that particular aspect where you are getting trained, and be in touch with that particular content, see what are the developments which are taking place and how my company can benefit out of it, really. So this is the way where we can utilize the time spent on training to actually seeing it is translated in practically in the business, and also try to take initiative and try to be part of the teams within the company. There are many task forces, many teams. Try to be a member of those particular groups where you can use your knowledge and you can really contribute towards the body of knowledge and for implementation within the company.
I think also in terms of to stay to stay updated and to keep what you have learned is also very important to network actually with the people, with the group who you're in a training with, so you can still communicate and still like exchange the information about the trainings, what have you learned, and actually afterwards to exchange also their experience, how that or another organizations of participants in the group actually implemented these tools which you have learned. And as well as also, yes. I mean, as is also a good thing, I think, to be surrounded by like-minded people. So who is always like trying to learn new tools and techniques in supply chain. So you can also like be updated and accordingly can be more proactive in your organizations.
Absolutely. We encourage procurement and supply professionals to participate in conferences, in seminars, and not only participate as an audience, but also to contribute, be a panelist, or be a speaker, all right, or a chair, or be a moderator. So this type of, when I talked about supply chain academy within the company, it was giving chance to people to come and share their knowledge, network, and also if you have seen in Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, we have got branch committees, and periodically, like I've been involved with the initiatives since 2006 in the UAE, like a founding member of branch committees and all, and I've seen how the profession has grown, how the people have grown with it. They network, and networking has real benefits to learn what we are doing in other organizations, what is going on in the market, and it is good for your career also. Sometimes people get opportunities also through networking, and other thing is common problems, how others are addressing, and we have got access. I can really go to any office. Now we've got such a big base. I can go to any office. I can ask people about the things they are doing. So networking has benefits, and technical benefits as well as social interaction.
Since we already discussed in the training and development, and so we are in the middle of COVID pandemic, actually I would like to hear your opinion how actually training and development will change after COVID. And actually you mentioned before that training and development is also an investment. So what do you think with now current economic situation, I can say it, even economic crisis, and especially for oil and gas industry, particularly is very low oil prices. What do you think, whether training and development will be affected by the reduction of investment?
We have lived through these low oil prices from time to time, and there are other alternatives. Nowadays, training and development is not as used to be before. You've got so many things online. So the remote training, what I mean to say is remote training is here to stay, and you are seeing more universities, higher college of technologies. So they are doing remote training, and as well as the low oil prices is concerned, there will be cheaper alternatives available, and still people have to grow themselves. Organizations will find ways, and already we are started working with many organizations remotely, online coaching, online training, short skill courses, or even the regular courses are going on online successfully. So the answer is, yeah, training and development will continue, and it is required to be continued. And we will find different ways of containing, whether it is a budget or it is online delivery. uh, so we are finding ways, people are finding innovative ways, and they are very successful in that.
My last questions to you will be like, what will be your message to procurement and supply chain professionals?
The message is, you have to change. If you don't change everything, end users will be empowered to get the materials online. We go to souk.com, we go to eBay, or we go to Amazon. How many buyers we are contacting? We just order and put in the cart, and it is delivered to you. This is the future of supply chain. What is going to happen? End users will be empowered. And now, where will be the role of procurement and supply chain? You have to be relevant to the company. You have to contribute to the bottom line. You have to create value to the company. You have to be strategic partner to the company. How you can do that? You have to increase your skills for stakeholders management.
Thank you very much, Lalit. It was a great conversation. And thank you very much to sharing your knowledge and experience with the audience. Appreciate it. I'm sure actually they will find it very interesting. And thank you very much for participating.
Thanks for the opportunity, Ludmila. All right.
That is all about procurement and supply chain, impact of the COVID and its future. I hope you enjoyed and find it interesting and useful. The next episode is coming soon, so stay tuned.